Hi, I'm going to try and cover quite a bit in this video, so I'll try and keep it brief. It is a video on the topic of international trade. So we can measure international trade. It's the value of exports plus the value of imports. Okay, so we're talking about the total amount of business either selling to, which is export, or buying from, which is import. It's a measure of the amount of business we're doing with other countries. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of topics in this video. First one is globalization. Globalization is the process by which economies have become increasingly integrated and interdependent. And when we're talking about these topics, we want to bear in mind that we are business students and we're thinking about the impact of all of these things on business. Okay, so globalization has been a process that's been going on for a very long time, very much accelerated at the end of the Second World War by the creation of certain institutions, particularly by America and their allies, the UK, in the Second World War, where we've created institutions to try and increase the amount of trade between countries. Why? The Second World War was terrible, as was the First World War, and we didn't want to repeat those mistakes. And how do you stop people from going to war? Well, one way to do it is try and make people trade, because if someone's buying something off you, you're getting money from them. Or if you're buying something from them, you're getting a product from them, and there's less incentive to go to war. So there's a whole bunch of bits of evidence that we can draw on that globalization is taking place. There's increasing trade. We've got more MNCs, more global brands. But not everything about globalization has been great. You need to be aware of some of the causes of globalization as well. Okay, there's a big debate going on at the moment. I'm recording this in May 2025. Since the end of the Second World War, the big push has been to create freer trade that's free from tariffs and quotas. And the benefits of that are thought to be sort of increased specialization, where countries and businesses can specialize in those products that they're really good at, and we trade with other countries and the businesses in other countries to import those products that we like. So in the UK, we tend to specialize in things like financial services. We've got a good sort of financial system, some high-tech stuff, entertainment like the Premier League, films, and we sell that stuff. And the idea is we use that stuff to buy stuff we're not quite so good at making. So typically bananas, clothing, iPhones, electronics. So much of the last 50 years since the Second World War, like I say, has been about promoting free trade. But in recent years, there's been a movement away from that. Evidence that started happening was the Brexit vote. I'm recording this in May 2025. Donald Trump is applying lots of tariffs at the moment, an increase in protectionism. So it's worth just being aware of sort of the political environment when you watch this. Related to the topic of globalization is about developed and developing economies. So here are some of the characteristics of developed and developing economies. Okay, so developed economies tend to be relatively stable. They've got generally strong governments, strong laws, strong financial systems which help business to raise money. All right, high income, good education, high life expectancy, all of these things being high HDI, but they tend to have quite low but stable economic growth rates, developed countries. Developing countries are far more volatile, a huge variation between them, some really good education systems. I'm thinking sort of Philippines, India, developing really strong universities, but much lower incomes of workers, lower life expectancies. The institutions tend to be developing in developing countries. Some of them have got very strong institutions, very stable governments, but some of them less so. and there tends to be more economic volatility in developing economies, very fast levels of growth, but also subject to recessions, big exchange rate fluctuations, which can make doing business very difficult. FDI is a key topic for you to be aware of in relation to international trade. It's a method of business growth. You can talk about horizontal and vertical integration. I'm not going to go into these in too much detail, but we can start to think about joint ventures, mergers, economies of scale, diseconomies of scale as businesses sort of take advantage of globalization and look to grow. So, key thing to be aware of is the pros of trade to businesses. So, the pros of selling stuff to customers abroad, but also the pros of having a choice of suppliers from around the world. I'll let you read that. All right, but there are also cons of trade to businesses as well, of course. So, international trade, a key topic, particularly in year 2 of A-level business. And when we're thinking about international trade and FDI and developed and developing economies, we're thinking about it in the context of businesses. And we need to think, which I'll cover in the next video, about how operating in a country as either a manufacturer or as a seller of product can affect businesses in a range of economies.